Hello and welcome to PalaceFanTV for our Spurs preview video. For these videos, we normally talk to a fan from our upcoming opposition live. Unfortunately, this week that's not possible, but thanks to the magic of YouTube, I'm going to be able to ask some questions to Flav from the Fighting Cock, who of course came on PalaceFanTV for the game earlier in the season, and I'm now going to ask him some questions ahead of Saturday's clash at Selhurst. So my first question to Flav is, last time he came on, I asked him about Pochettino as Spurs manager, and he said that Spurs hadn't really improved much under him. Since then, have Spurs improved? It looks like they have. And how do Tottenham fans feel about Pochettino as manager?
Hello, Jim. Thanks so much for having me back on. It's always a pleasure. Has Pochettino improved? I mean, I think it goes without saying that we have improved massively. I think when we last spoke, it was a bit of we were still in a transition between what we'd seen from kind of Sherwood and AVB before that. We had very much the same team that we had under those managers, and we were yet to see what Pochettino was actually trying to do, or at least we knew what he was trying to do, but he kind of didn't have the playing staff in place and the time to adapt his philosophy onto that team. But as everyone's seen this year, we've become very, very difficult to beat. We're scoring goals. I think we have the best goal difference in the league, which is something I've never seen before as a Spurs fan. And I'm surprised how well it's actually gone. I mean, we're not top of the league, but it's midway through January, and we're in with a shout of winning the league. I don't think we will, but we are in with a shout. Yeah, it's something, but it's hard to get your head round. The last time we was in this position was when we had Modric and Bale under Redknapp and that team, but that was 3 or 4 world-class players in that team, and I've never kind of seen that before as a Spurs fan as well. So it was kind of an anomaly that season, but this has been very purposeful, deliberate, planned out way of making sure Spurs tick and play in a certain way, and it was just can't get my head around it really. I'm really enjoying this season.
Question 2. Who so far is the unsung hero for Spurs? Daly and Harry Kane are getting a lot of the limelight, understandably. But which player in the team or players in the team are not quite getting the deserved praise?
Yeah, obviously Harry Kane and Daly are getting the praise that they deserve. Hugo Lloris is also getting a fair bit of his usual plaudits because he's a world-class keeper and you expect that. But remarkably, the player who's turned his Tottenham career around has been Moussa Dembele. I would go so far as to say he's one of the most important members of our squad now. There's a number of reasons for that, and they're hard to articulate because he's a versatile midfielder. He's played in every position in that midfield. If you spoke to most Spurs fans, they would say that his key position, or the position he's most used to, is the kind of one of the 2 holding midfielders in that pivot. But actually, what's happened is that he's been played further forward. And because the main attribute to his game is keeping the ball, it's very difficult to get him off it. His style of play isn't necessarily suited to one of those forward 3, but when he has played there, he hasn't had the drive that you'd expect from players in that position typically, but he's brought a different dynamic to our team. And it's just been incredible. I mean, he was being touted were moves away to, I think, Sunderland, which would have been a travesty for a player of his quality to end up at a club that are in the state that they are in. It would have been a shame, and I don't think you would have seen the Moussa Dembele that we've seen this season. But yeah, we didn't expect it to happen. Again, another unexpected thing for Tottenham this season is to have a player like Moussa Dembele in this squad, and then for him to become so important and crucial has been as entertaining as all the goals that Harry Kane scored.
Question number 3. It's the January transfer window, of course. Who do Spurs fans want to see come in, or what areas of the team do you think Spurs need improving? Or is your squad good enough, as it is, to challenge for a top 4 place?
Our squad is good enough to challenge for a top 4 place as it stands. I don't think we need to add anyone in to ensure that we finish in that top 4 space. It's nothing to do with the player staff that we have. The quality's there already. If we do fall out of that top 4 space, then it's purely down to a lack of form or teams sussing us out. And if that happens, then I'm not sure buying a couple of players will help that in any case. That said, we do need to strengthen strikers. We've got one, really, Harry Kane. If he gets injured, then we're kind of left with Son, who he can play up top, but is really kind of a forward-thinking midfielder. I like the look of Moussa Dembele. I know he's been touted around, not the Moussa Dembele I mentioned in the previous question, but the one from Fulham. Yeah, he's been banging in goals, but although he has been playing an extremely attacking and open Fulham team, so any striker worth his salt would be picking up goals in that side. But he looks a talent, and he looks like the kind of player that Pochettino would be able to mould. His age is right. He's 19. He's willing to be, you'd imagine, willing to be adapted to a manager who has certain ideas about what it would take to become a success in a team like Tottenham, a team that's looking to challenge for the league. So he has to be young. He can't be Charlie Austin with not bad habits, but certain habits in his game that would be difficult to train out. So any player we do buy will be one that is young enough to be moulded to work in the system that we play. I think that's the key part. Any other key part of our team that needs to be upgraded or at least strengthened. Any other players would be special ones that are going to improve our first 11 significantly. And this time of the year, it's very difficult for that to happen. This time of the season, rather, very difficult for that to happen. Very hard to find players that are willing to move clubs for the right fee. So I don't think we'll see much at Spurs apart from Dembele. We might see Townsend leave, but other than that, I think that'll be it.
Question number 4. Earlier in the season, Palace went to White Hart Lane and lost 1-0. What did you learn about the Palace team during that game?
Honestly, I can't remember much from the game, funnily enough. I've seen Palace a few times on telly this year, and you look exciting at times going forward, but I think your issues aren't necessarily defensively. It's the kind of lack of penetration once you're in that final third. We spoke, and I was waxing lyrical last time, Jim, about the qualities of Balassi and Zaha and the width that you have there and the skill of those players and the damage that they can do to you on their day. I know Balassi's been injured, but Sakho as well. I think it's just a lack of quality and finesse, and not making the most of opportunities when they arise, and not having the forward up there to finish off these opportunities. I talked about a Spurs signing a striker, but if there's a team in the league that needs a striker more than Palace, then I'd be surprised. Obviously, Bamford didn't do a great deal; he's gone. Connor Wickham isn't really pulling up trees either, so I would be surprised if Palace don't spend in that department. And if you don't, then I think you're going to be resigned to at best a mid-table finish. That's my opinions on this change all the time based on the form. A couple of weeks ago, before this sort of barren spell, you were doing pretty well. You're looking for a Europa League spot at least. So it's one of those things. That's about all I've noticed about Palace this season, to be fair.
Question number 5 then is a prediction. What do you think the score is going to be on Saturday at Selhurst between Palace and Spurs?
Our defensive record away from home is the joint best in the league with City's. You haven't been scoring goals. And I know that's two very simple stats, and 90 minutes of football can change any of those. It's a bit of a cliche, but 90 minutes, within 90 minutes, anything can happen. And form does go out of the window to a certain extent. But given the way we play, how defensively sound we have been, and how blunt Palace have been recently, I can't see anything other than a 1 or 2-0 win for Tottenham.
Thank you very much to Flav for answering those questions. You can check out the Fighting Cock. There will be a link in the description below this video. Don't forget to subscribe to PalaceFanTV if you haven't yet. If you still haven't subscribed, why not? Click that button now, because we've got a lot of stuff going on the channel related to all things Crystal Palace. Comment below with your prediction. What is the score going to be between Spurs and Palace? And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Snapchat as well. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.